My boyfriend lied about my ring and now I can't trust him. For Christmas, my boyfriend of 3 years bought me a gorgeous ring, not an engagement ring. He told me in great detail about how he purchased the loose diamonds from a local jeweler, recommended to him by a friend that gets them in Amsterdam, and had it custom made for me in platinum. I genuinely loved the ring, but I thought the diamonds were suspiciously large and odd that it was stamped 925, which represents sterling silver, when he told me it was mounted in platinum. I did a little research and found out that it was a $1,200 moissanite ring in platinum over sterling, which I own a few pieces and he knows I love. He has done a lot of research on jewelry, so I'm certain he was not tricked. I am not a materialistic person at all, and he could have gotten me a ring from Walmart and I would have loved it because I attach sentimental value to gifts. He knows that. My problem is that if he would lie about something so trivial, what else would he lie to me about? I honestly can't even wear the ring because every time I look at it, I think about how he broke my trust and it makes me want to cry. Part of me feels like I shouldn't even bring it up since the ring still costs over $1,000, but I'm still just heartbroken since I always felt like he was a trustworthy person. Would you even bring it up? If so, how should I talk to him about this without sounding like a spoiled brat?
I'm not usually petty, but when I am, I'm epically petty. Now to preface this, I'll start by saying that my current husband and I have been besties since we were 14. We married other people, had families, and generally lived our lives. My first husband died and they were also friends. It was a terrible time for all of us. At that time, his wife was throwing fits about him visiting and wouldn't visit herself. She would also say that I'm trying to steal her man like my husband who I loved so much hadn't just died. 2 years passed and he finally leaves her and we're still friends at this point. Eventually we start dating and get married. Fast forward to 18 months ago. My husband's daughter is visiting during her senior year of high school. Due to COVID, she can stay for a few weeks and not worry about missing classes. During this time, she lets me know that she didn't get a graduation announcement nor is she getting any sort of party. This isn't a COVID thing either. Her mom was going to piggyback off of her parents' 50th wedding anniversary party. Well, I'm a professional photographer that specializes in senior portraits. I take a bunch of pics, even though the mom had done some 6 months prior, and make up announcements. By the time the cards show up here, she's already gone home. At that point, I call my stepdaughter and get the names and addresses for people that she wants to send these to. I also add a camping weekend invite for her grad party later in the summer at my house. I send these to everyone, including her bio mom's parents. Slightly petty. Now this leads to a string of events. First, bio mom throws together a party that my husband and our son end up going to. Bio mom did not like that. It also clicked in my brain what this could mean. So then I told my stepdaughter about the car we were going to give her. Not a lie and a beginner beater. So her bio mom goes and gets her a much newer and nicer car. Then I tell my stepdaughter about a cruise that I want her, my daughter, and I to go on. Now her bio mom has booked the Mediterranean cruise for the two of them. I get my stepdaughter a duck and chicken, and now the mom has 6 chickens for when the stepdaughter comes to visit. Right now I'm trying to come up with something else. I'm thinking a nice tasteful piece of jewelry. I will add that the mom has some serious narcissistic traits and made my stepdaughter's life miserable. We were unaware and stepdaughter is living with us and attending weekly therapy sessions. Although lazy, in this I'm spiteful and willing to put forth the time and energy. Story time about when I messed up by taking my friend's fiance out for a drink. This happened 2 weeks ago. I female met my friend's male fiance a couple months ago when he moved with her back to his hometown. The fiance and I got on well enough and we tentatively started to form a friendship. The night before their wedding, my friend stayed over at his brother's. I stayed the night at their house with the bride. She had no friends or family in town and I was by default the bridesmaid. Feeling kind of sorry for her for not having a bachelorette party or anyone around, I suggested that we go out and have a few drinks, celebrate her last few hours of singlehood. I ordered a beer and tequila each for the first round, thinking that we'd start off with a shooter, have a few beers, and end off with a shooter. Nothing wild. I didn't want to be the cause of a severely hungover bride. After the first tequila hit her stomach, she changed. She became more animated. I put it down to just pre-wedding excitement. No one told me that she was a recovering addict who hasn't had a drink in 4 years. No one. In the past when I visited, my friend and myself would drink a beer and she wouldn't. I always thought it was because she wasn't particularly fond of beer or alcohol. I have lots of girlfriends like that who only drink on certain occasions. But I like beer. The bride started chugging beers and shooters like a frat boy. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen to reason. She became more and more aggressive, so I just backed off. Had I known what I know now, I would have made a bigger effort, even if it may have meant a black eye or a bloody nose for me. As Murphy would have it, she chose the exact moment to go to the bathroom as the girl was doing lines in the stall next to hers. The bride asked and got given. Anything for the bride, right? Oh my god. Oh wonderful, you're getting married tomorrow? Here's another. She was like a freight train, with me barely hanging on. She phoned her husband-to-be and told him that the wedding was off and she's changed her mind. I eventually managed to get her home around 4 in the morning. He was waiting for her. She screamed at him and he shouted at me. They postponed the wedding. I feel so bad. I never wanted to cause shit for either one of them.
In high school, this guy named Andrew got super pissed off at me because I spit on him accidentally. Out of accident. He was sitting across the lunch table from me, and my problem is I can't hold in laughter ever. If you wanted to murder me and get away with it, I'm gonna tell you how to do it. The way to do it is to tell a joke while I'm eating a carrot and just let nature take care of the rest. I would be done. I worry about that so often. Whenever I'm alone in my house eating carrots, I'm always like, oh man, I hope nothing funny happens after I take a bite of this carrot. So I'm minding my business, drinking my chocolate milk, and Andrew cracks a joke right at that moment. And I did like a full spit take all over his face, and he was pissed, right? Anybody would be upset if you spit anything all over them, frankly, so he had every right to be upset. But what bothered me about his upsetness, and what made me get counter upset, was that he acted like I did it on purpose. He jumped up from the lunch table and he was like, oh my God, why would you do that? And I said, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, I'll go get you some napkins. And he said, what do you mean it was an accident? You don't just accidentally spit on people. And I was just like, but you joked, you made it funny. You were in the splash zone. It was an accident. It just happened. And he said, did you think that was funny? Was this some bit? Were you trying to make a joke? And I said, no, I would never spit on anybody without their consent. And what really offended me about that statement was that he seemed to think that my sense of humor was just to go around assaulting people with dairy, which I would never do. Like he seemed like he thought that I was just sitting at the lunch table drinking my chocolate milk, waiting for the perfect moment to do a spit take. Like, oh man, this is gonna kill. This is really gonna bring the house down. So now I was upset also because he accused me of being an absolute hack. So he's being incredibly accusatory. I was finally like, listen, Linda, listen. I don't know what else to prove. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to prove to you that it was an accident. I would never do that on purpose. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna go get you some napkins. And I don't know who said what when I left the lunch table, but when I came back, his entire energy had changed, like his whole vibe. He was completely relaxed. He somehow did believe it was an accident all of a sudden. He was like, we're good. I suspect it was because he had a fat crush on my best friend at the time, so probably I left the lunch table. She said, dude, cool your nuts. Kate can't help that sometimes she explodes dairy out of both ends, because I am lactose intolerant. And he was in love with her, so he was nice to me after that. When I was 14, I had the hugest crush on my friend James because of his on-point Chewbacca impression, and he was just very funny, very kind. He was all the things, but I couldn't speak to him because whenever I looked into his eyes, I would freeze, like he would Medusa me. And he also Medusa'd my friend who he asked out on a date, and I was very happy for her. I was like, he's never gonna love me, so like you date him and I'll live through you. But she's very shy, and he's also very intelligent, which makes him hard to speak to as well sometimes. One time he and I were on a road trip as adults, and there was a bunch of ice freezing on our windshield, and he went into a pharmacy and he bought some stuff and made a little witch's potion, and he poured it into our car, the windshield wiper spray fluid spot. And I was like, is this going to make our car explode? And he said, no, and here's why. And he's a chemical engineer, so he was explaining to me how all the chemicals work together to unfreeze the ice and not explode our vehicle. But he was using all these sciencey words, and I was just nodding and smiling like, you know, you're really cute, but I don't know what you're saying. So he took my friend on this date, and he was carrying the conversation the whole time because she was too scared to speak, and he was cutting the bread. They were having a picnic on the beach, and he was making this ASMR sound with the knife because there were nobody was talking, and he said, well, this is awkward. And my friend said, nothing. Then my cousin's family came to visit, and they rented a camping spot from James's family. So James and his friends came running up to me, and they were like, that's your cousin? We saw her, and we were like, who is this gorgeous goddess? And I was like, yep, that's her. That's so great that you think that. Because at this point, I was annoyed. I was like, really? You'll date my friend, who's also rendered mute in your presence, and you'll date someone genetically similar to me, but you won't... What? My cousin came running up to me and she said, James is so cute. My mom told him that I need someone to show me around the island later, so he's gonna do it. And I just wanted to say, nobody cares, Mackenzie. In 7 years, you're gonna marry a totally different man and not invite me to the wedding. Flash forward 7 years, and James and I are going on this road trip, right? And he drove 2 hours out of his way to come pick me up. And I said, thank you so much for driving so far to pick me up. And he said, no, I actually really enjoyed the drive. Thank you. Let me tell you something though. I dated a girl from down here once, and I would never do it again because 2 hours doesn't seem like a long distance relationship, but it is. Could never date a girl from here again. And I was like, cool, thanks for the hint. And then he proceeded to kill me softly on this 30-hour road trip by buying me tacos and duetting Total Eclipse of the Heart with me and making me laugh so hard that I was snorting, which the only other time I've laughed so hard that I snorted was never. We listened to Taylor Swift for 2 hours, and at no point did he say, can we listen to something that's not Taylor Swift? And we started sharing bad dating stories. He told me about this bad experience getting rejected for a kiss, and I was like, who don't want to kiss you? You're so hot. But I didn't say that. I kept it all inside. And then he was like, I'm just done dating. I want to get married. It's too tough, you know? And I was like, I volunteer as tribute. I've been here the whole time. Anyway, he's married now.
Am I the asshole for asking my boyfriend to switch meals with me? I've been friends with my boyfriend for years and we got together 3 months ago. When we go out to eat, he always orders a cheeseburger, plain ketchup on the side with honey mustard to dip his fries. He loves exotic food, but he says the whole ordering and making choices is super stressful. I love trying exotic things, and to me that's the whole reason to go out. But sometimes I don't end up liking the food, so I ask him to switch and he says yes. So last night we went to a sports bar and they had a calamari special, which I got, and he got a cheeseburger. I didn't like the calamari, so I asked him to switch with me and he said no. I asked why not and he said I shouldn't have effing ordered it.